Hello, everyone. As usual, I'm super professional and got really busy playing with settings behind the scenes. And then I was like, oh, yeah, we're going live. I do this. Welcome, everyone. AmyR here with Prairie Paper and Ink, face, card making space, in my garage, unscripted, unfiltered, crafty chaos. Literally. Unpaid intern is sitting in the corner.
That's me.
He's gonna help moderate a bit, and yeah, we're just gonna see where this goes. As usual, it is what it is. I'm chaotic. I'm chaotic. I don't know if anyone's ever told you this. Thank you for not being a one-trick pony that does one type of card making. Huge variety of things. There's benefits to both, to all styles. The only reason why I don't stick to like one style is because I get bored very quickly. Some of it's just the ADHD, but some of it's just I like trying all the things and having all the things and doing all. But yeah, there are so many people out there that have a very specific style and they stay in their wheelhouse and they enjoy it and they're good at it. Like there's so many makers where, you'll see something pop up and it's like, you know immediately who makes that because, it's their sort of thing. And I admire it. I love it because they'll take products and tools and supplies that I would never think to use it in that way, and they'll use it in their way, whereas me, I'm just all over the place. And I appreciate everyone that sticks with me because, yeah, one day it's watercoloring, the next day it's alcohol markers, the next day it's some other random technique, It is what it is. But anyway, hello to all the peoples. And yeah, I've got, again, multiple screens. I've been fiddling around a little bit with my tech, which is a full-time job in and of itself. Like, I am my own production studio. It's exhausting. It's exhausting. But so far, everything is working. There isn't company. No, that's why brands like talking about like the actual like company, brand, whatever. That's why they have teams. To have all different types of styles. They'll have so and so on their team that does very clean and simple. And then this so and so will be like they do just alcohol marker coloring. Full stop, and then this one does this one does this. And like that's why there's design teams, to give different viewpoints on a product, a release, a brand. Because so often, and we all know this, it's like you'll see something, a stamp set, a die set, whatever, and you're just kind of like, meh, because the static image of it is boring, or you just, because I do it. I get products all the time, and I'll be flipping through my, a new release, and I'll be like, It's always the ones that you do that you come back to later. I always do. The ones that I'm kind of just like, and then I see it used or I start playing with it and I'm just like, oh, this has a million ideas. And then I see other makers use something and I'm just like, oh, never would have thought to combine that color or that technique or, So variety. Variety is the spice of life because while I would love to do all the things, have all the things, work with every single brand, I can't even keep up with what's on my plate. Which ties into the, as always, the disclaimer. Haven't mailed out any winners. I'm like 3+ months behind at this point. Getting there, though. The winners I give away the cards on my Sunday lives. That's always in the doobly-doo down below. He posts it in the chat during the live. He picks a winner at the end of the live. And then I mail out the card. But I'm behind. I'll get there. I'm working on it, y'all. I am a production studio, the CEO, the janitor, all of it. All of it. The president, the unpaid peon, all of things. Too many things, too many hats, not enough time. But I'm getting all of the live stream cards. I've got address labels printed off. I just gotta get all of the things. And if only we didn't need to sleep. Yeah, sleep is priority. Sleep is priority. So, yeah, everything is good. I love making with all the things. If I didn't, I'd get bored. Yeah, I'm someone that just... I jump around. I jump around. And sometimes it's fun, and other times it's just kind of overwhelming because I have more ideas than I have time. Which today is going to be kind of an example of that. Because I still have to catch up on a lot of it because I missed a lot of it. I was watching Tim Holtz live yesterday. He went live on his channel. If you haven't watched it, highly recommend. Because even if you're not, I am going to use distress paints today. Because I was inspired. But it's always worth watching his lives because just the ideas. And I also highly recommend, because if you have distress paints or just craft paint and you are curious, any questions you guys might have, like in the nitty-gritty info, watch his live. He goes into all of the just whys and wherefores and all things. And then the big announcement yesterday was, because for those not aware, Ranger had retired a little over a couple dozen of the distress paint colors a few years ago, and people were really upset. And then they kind of re-released some of them, and it was kind of back and forth for a little bit. And then as of yesterday, basically, all the distress paint colors are fully available, And then he went into the labels, which I've talked about in videos. I've done, I did one random live stream a while ago. I started labeling my distress ink pads, which that's still a work in progress, because all that stuff too. Labeling all the things, doing all the things, organizing all the things. But I have the labels for my distress paints. I just haven't done it, but I can't wait because these little, to put the little round labels on the tops, that'll make my life better. And maybe I'll even use them more often because I have all these just thrown in a drawer and you can't see, the color very well. And then once they're labeled, they'll look super nice and maybe I'll actually use them more often. I've done videos in the past. I didn't link to any because that's another to-do list. Never-ending to-do list is organizing my backlog of videos because I don't know how many I have on my YouTube channel at this point, but it's over 2,000 because my YouTube channel is, up here in Canada, is now a legal adult because my YouTube channel is 18 years old now.
3,200.
I have 3,200 videos. A lot. A chunk of those, though, are not public.
Yeah.
A big chunk of those, several hundred, are only for my Patreon members. But I would say at least 2,500 of them are public. There's a lot. I've got a lot of videos because I've been doing this for a lot of years. So I've been slowly, when I have free time, again, trying to, I've been doing this for years. I've got, playlists for this. And I've been just trying to, even narrow it down even more, more playlists so that people can find. You can always use, just FYI, when you're on, just YouTube, but you can also be, on a person's channel. So when you're, on my channel, you're looking at my channel page, you can search within. So just start typing in things and more stuff will pop up. But yeah. I need to get the labels. Too many things to buy. All I keep hearing is the word budget. Some of those labels might be on sale. I have the Simon Says Stamp sale category linked as well. Because usually when Tim Holtz goes live, Simon Says Stamp does. And there's some good stuff. There's some really good deals, especially if you're into his ideology. There's some crazy good deals in there. But I think some of the labels were also put on sale. I was like, ooh, do I need to order more? But I ordered some extras the last time they were on sale. Because I got a pile. I have a pile of labels. I'm getting there. You know, it just is. So anyway, I think that was all of my like little disclaimers and randomness. They get melody can feel good. Yeah, I need to get I need to clone myself. Haven't figured it out. But we're gonna play with paint. And it's gonna be simple. This is something anybody can do. I'm not gonna get super techniquey today because y'all, I am tired. I spent all day yesterday cooking. All day. I cooked. It was great. We had a nice little big old meal with the family and we moved furniture. I did knock off one major thing off my to-do list, which was getting my boys to help move a massive piece of furniture that weighs like that thing weighed a ton. So, yeah, which also means now, where you guys can't see on the opposite side of my garage, we have a pile of like cardboard and like, but yeah,
mess to clean up.
it is just, it has me feeling, I'm feeling very like, I don't like it. I don't like that mess, but we'll deal with it. We got stuff to recycle and clean up. But anyway, and yeah, so knock things off my to-do list, but I'm also exhausted because I was on my feet all day and organizing and cooking and doing all the things, but we're good. Everything is good. What is free time? Yeah, I'm not sure. I haven't figured it out yet. I literally haven't figured it out yet. Okay. Painting. Paint. Let me grab before, there we go. I need this. So, let me switch the camera down so that we can play with paint. So, derp. There we go. So, technically I could also just do this on my glass work surface. Because the thing with paint, regardless, it doesn't matter if you're using distress paint, craft paint, acrylic paint is permanent. So you at least want to work on something where you can clean it off. Whether it be a glasswork surface, non-stick craft sheet, or just scrap paper. It doesn't really matter. But you just want to be able to, clean it up. So I'm just using I highly recommend having it. It doesn't have to be this specific one. There's several versions. This one's there's a name for it. I think it's the Travel Media Matte. Let me look. Yeah, this one is specifically this one is meant for the Tim Holtz glass mat, the smaller one. And that's why it has these little like weighted corners, which is kind of nice. And I roll it up, throw it off to the side when I'm done using it. But what I love about, because it's this part, and it's got a little like silicone grippy backing to it, and I have like, not even kidding, like 3 or 4 different versions of this exact mat. Any of them work. The reason I love it so much is, one, paint, ink, yada yada. This I like though, when you smush ink pads and then spray with water, it beads up really nice. I showed that in a live forever ago, like the differences. Anyway, this, and it's heat resistant and all that stuff too. And it will stain, like mine is stained, just FYI. Like, it is like a woven, I'm not exactly sure what they make this out of, but it's like a woven fiber type surface, and things will permeate and stain it. It happens. Some stain more than others, whatever. But it's a handy, I do highly recommend having some sort of mat like this, because there's a lot you can do with it. But I'm just using it right now because it's going to make my life easier. And then I pulled out some distress paints in pretty colors. And funny enough, I was actually, talking about getting inspired. Yeah, I think I can. Oh, can I show this? I don't even know if I'm going to be able to, I don't think I can show this on camera. I don't think it'll fit. I was inspired by, I'll see if I can get this on the screen. Can I get this on the screen? There we go. I can only show part of it. This is a little, it's called a stream deck. this is what I try to keep far away from me, because I've accidentally dropped things on this and ended a live stream for those that might have been there that day. Because I dropped something and I had a button on here that literally said end stream. That button is no longer on here. I removed that. But still, all that to say, it's got this cute little faceplate that I picked out when I purchased this thing. And I was like, you know what? Those colors are really nice. Let's do that. I'm like, what was his name from Anchorman? I love Lamp. Brick Tamlin. I was like, I love pink, purple, blue. It's literally, I was just like racking my brain, you know, for ideas, saw that, and I was like, I love Lamp. Let's do that. So, hence, the specific colors. I've got Tumble Glass, Picked Raspberry, Dusty Concord, Sponge Sugar. This, I think, was one of the retired colors. I was upset when they retired this in Distress Paint because I was like, I'm sorry, this is a pretty color. What is wrong with you? Blueprint Sketch and Wilted Violet. Yeah, Brick Tamlin. I need to watch Anchorman again. That's one of the movies that I like to just put on and
Turn your brain off.
yeah, fully turn my brain off. But then I find that I can't get anything done because I'll just sit there and laugh like the entire time because it's such a dumb movie. Love it. Love Anchorman. Anyway, like any craft paint, you do need to like shake it up really, really well. And like I said, if you want like the nitty gritty info, Tim Holtz. Look at his live. It's titled like Asked and Answered Distress Paints. Can't miss it. And he's got other videos he's done over the years using paints and techniques galore. So many cool things. But I'm going to be very, very basic. So, you know, myself, basic. But you shake them up really well. And the thing with distress paint is, those of you that have used it and have it, you'll know the viscosity varies by color, because distress paint, it is, you know, true to color. That's why I prefer it over just craft paint, because it's like, I like the distress colors. But depending on the color, some are more thin and runny, some are thicker, because it varies by color, you know. And they don't put filler in it. That's another reason why I like distress paint, because the colors are more true. And what else? Yeah. And then they're in the pretty distress colors. And I will eventually, this one might be, he was talking about the purple shades. I know Wilted Violet's one of them. Wilted Violet and Villainous Potion can be, there's something about the purple. Oh, I think mine might be okay. But yeah. We're just going to do very, very simple. Do I want a bigger brush than this one? 1, 2. Oh, I can probably. I just want to do like very simple dry brushing. Any brush is going to work. I linked to the little pack of like Ranger brushes. Those ones I've been using for years. This is Claudine Hamilton. These are made very. This is the same thing, but it's a pack of brushes and it's like $7. Can't go wrong, you know. Because when I talk about like El Cheapo brushes, those are usually the ones I'm using, and they're great. And the thing is, with acrylic paint, you either need to clean your brush as soon as you're done, or you need to accept the fact that your brush is going to be ruined. Because if the paint dries in your brush, you ain't getting it out. It's done for. You should watch Anchorman. It's a dumb movie, but it's great. It's great. It's so funny. So much quotes. Did I not? This one's not even open. I probably had an already open bottle, but again, all my paints are in a drawer, and I have not, I haven't organized them yet. So, you know, that's a thing. I'll get to it, just like everything else. Okay. So yeah, they come sealed, obviously. I take that out. And then I am just gonna put a few drops of the colors onto here. Yeah. If you guys like dumb humor, that's what Anchorman is. Just really dumb humor. And it's funny. And I've seen that movie more times than I can count. And when I'm having a day, I am in a glass cage of emotion. Oh, these colors are so pretty. Okay. And yeah, most of what I use distress paint for, honestly, is splatter. That was why I really got into it. Ooh, this one is like, was a mess. There we go. There we go. Let's give that another shake. Yeah, oh yeah, if you're not a Will Ferrell fan, don't watch Anchorman. It is very Will Ferrell humor. Okay. That one. And then we got Blueprint Scotch. Let's put that over here. And then dry little paint blobbies everywhere. Not a big deal. And I'm already getting it, whatever. Getting it everywhere. Who cares? Okay. So, got that. Off to the side, I have a jar of water. The jar of forbidden water. And a cloth or a paper towel or something, just clean between colors. And then all I'm going to do is just like paint stripes. Just a very simple background. Nothing crazy. And this is just basic white cardstock. This is Simon's 120-pound cardstock. Yeah. Something like this, since I'm not doing anything like technique-y, you know, as long as it's a, you know, a decent weight cardstock, it's fine. If you're actually going to be doing like techniques and spraying water and blah, 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 then you want to make sure it's something that will like hold up. But yeah, for this, just a decent heavyweight cardstock will do the trick. So we start with one color, clean off the brush, go into the next one. Like so. Like, just simple. Kind of overlap it a bit. Yeah. Yeah. Paul, well, if you like Paul Rudd in Anchorman is freaking hilarious. Oh, the cologne.
Yeah.
That one we quote to each other. In fact, I used to have a pair of headphones, you know, and you can like name your devices in your like Bluetooth settings. Chris,
Right,
so my black headphones, we named them Sex Panther. I do wonder that one time I was traveling with them if it popped up when other people were trying to connect Bluetooth. Like,
I don't know.
do you?
I hope so.
I just, yeah. Okay, y'all, we got the humor of 12-year-olds here. Who cares? Anyway, but yeah, to each their own. Some, like, you know, the really dumb humor is not people's forte, and I get it. I get it. I get it. Okay. I watched Tim Holtz live yesterday. Yeah, watching his lives are so worth it because just so many ideas. And like, you know, he'll show techniques he's shown a million times before, but every single time it's like, that's so cool, you know? I wanted to pull out my paints because I was like, oh, yep, haven't used these in a while. How about I pull them out and play? So that's what we're doing today. Just keeping her simple, though. Yeah, just simple little stripes. Anybody can do this. Love you remember 12 and 13-year-old. Oh, I know. Chris and I are just... we're ridiculous, to say the least. But yeah, nothing like just good, dumb comedy. Okay. Next, we'll go in... this one's pretty. Blueprint Sketch. I've talked about blues for what, you know, and why, or not necessarily why, but I never reach for blues often enough, and I should, because it's gorgeous. Like, it's gorgeous, you know? Okay. So we got that. Love it. And then, once I get all of this off my brush, and then finally, Wilted Violet. And that's mostly okay. That is dry enough that I'm not gonna like get a big old fingerprint in it, hopefully. Boop. There we go. And this is an A2, I think I said this, but I can't remember. This is an A2 size panel, by the way. Just 4 1/4 by 5.5. I think I'll trim it down a little bit when everything's like fully dry. But yeah, super simple. And then, Twilight Sparkle, yeah. Yep. You gotta call things silly names. Anyway, it is this thing. Blueprint Sketch is just such a good blue. And like, I could technically, well, I would have to add a little bit more of the tumble glass, but I could technically do like 5 more backgrounds with that paint, but I'm not gonna, cause I got other stuff I want to do. And I literally have like a lot of these bottles. I have more than one bottle of some of these colors. So I'm just gonna wipe this up. I know it freaks people out sometimes. And I've received angry emails and comments over the years, like about the waste of ink and paint, and I get it. Sometimes you can just take it, spray it with some water, swipe panels of cardstock through it, you know, create more backgrounds. That's fine. But I'm live. I don't have time. I don't have space. As it is. I need a bigger boat. So we have that, and it's already mostly dry. You can see a couple little bits, you know, little bits here and there. It'll just take a few minutes, but like dry brushing it like this dries pretty quickly. So yeah, that'll be dry right away. And then to get a little like let me make sure I got my brush fully cleaned out. Yep. Then to add to it, I pulled out, this is the Nature in Bloom like background stamp, and I am going to use it. Yeah, I don't even need to take it off the backing sheet. I'm going to use it with Blockset archival ink, because archival ink will stamp it out as within reason. Even like my VersaFine Clear Nocturne ink would work, but it might take longer to dry, and I just don't have the patience. So I'm going to use Blockset archival. The thing to remember about archival inks, they stain everything. It is going to immediately stain the stamp, because photopolymer, the minute you touch archival ink to photopolymer, it just goes and stains it. I don't care. Stain stamp's a love stamp. It works better. I'm just FYI. And then I'll show you how I clean my stamp though after, because those that have watched Tim Holtz for a long enough time, you know, he will ink up his new stamps with archival and then doesn't clean them, like just stains them with the archival, because that's just what works, honestly. The only reason I don't do that personally is because especially with photopolymer, I like to make sure my stamps are clean, because so often I use the stamp again many times with very, very light inks, and yeah, I don't mind them getting stained, but I don't want like a coating of archival ink. So to each their own, but I just want to have some like text on the background, and I'm not even going to ink up like the whole stamp, and I'm not going to stamp the whole stamp either. I'm just going to like that. And then on the acrylic surface, the VersaFine Clair is going to take forever. VersaFine Clair, honestly, I wouldn't use on non-porous surfaces. You might be able to, but because it's an oil-based pigment ink, yeah, it would take forever. Archival, though, you can stamp on like acetate, glass, etc. Generally, with non-porous surfaces and inks like this, like archivals and ones that are meant for multi-surfaces, a lot of times they do need to be heat set. Again, that is one area of crafting I rarely ever get into, like stamping on acetate, glass, all that kind of stuff. Like I've done it in the past, you know? But yeah, you always got to check like kind of manufacturer recommendations and test it out. And test it out. Okay. Oh, you got to play with the paints. The paints are fun. They're fun. Love it. And I wish the archival was darker. No, it's black. The difference with archival ink, like those that aren't familiar, like if you're not used to archival ink isn't like the ink pad itself, any of them. They're not juicy. They're kind of like almost like a drier type of ink, but that's part of the formula. And you wouldn't want them to be like juicy because then it would basically never dry because you'd have like blobs of ink everywhere. Could you use StazOn? You could. That is one ink I almost never use is StazOn, mostly because I absolutely hate the smell of it. StazOn has like an almond smell to it. I hate it. I hate it so much. I cannot stand the smell of StazOn ink. It drives me insane. But yes, you could use StazOn to stamp because StazOn can be stamped on like other surfaces, etc. So it does work. I used to use StazOn in the past, but I really hated. I hated the smell of it. Blech, blech. Gross. No. Anyway, so just adding some text. Doesn't have to be perfect because I don't care. Because we're also gonna add splatter, of course. We're gonna add splatter. So I'm just add a little bit more to this bottom corner. Like, there we go. Good enough. Okay. Is it because I have the Better Press archival ink is not the same. Spellbinders, I think there's a video or something, but like there's an explanation. Better Press ink, those little, the ink that's Better Press ink, it is made by Ranger. It is similar, but it is a thicker formula than this. They altered it for the Better Press. And I have literally only used that Better Press ink when I'm using a Better Press plate. I don't think I've ever stamped with it. You could, totally. It is different than this. It is just, yeah, it's slightly thicker. It's not juicier, but it is thicker. It's different. It's different. So I keep all my Better Press inks separate because I have all the colors. I haven't used the Better Press ink in forever because I use my Better Press like hot foiling and then with all my other inks. So I don't even reach for the Better Press ink very often, but I have a bunch of them and a bunch of the colors. And yeah, I could have done that with this. It just would have been, it might have taken even longer to dry because it is thicker. It is thicker. But yeah. It smells worse than archival. Yeah, because archival I don't even think has a scent. I don't think archival ink really, like it does if you're gonna hold the ink pad like right up to your nose. Whereas StazOn ink, literally, like you take the lid off and you can smell it. And it literally has like an almond scent to it. And gross. I don't even know where my StazOn ink pads are. They're in the bottom of a drawer as far away as possible because I never reach for them. Because I was like, if I want permanent, I just use archival. And then to clean. And this applies to archival ink, if you're using Stays On ink, like, you know, the inks that are really, really difficult to clean off because they're permanent, all I use to clean them, I'm going to set this aside for a second. We'll come back to him in a minute. All I use to clean them, Ultra Clean, and my little stamp chamois. And Ultra Clean, several brands have it. This is the Simon Says Stamp one. So, Hero Arts has Ultra Clean as well, etc. Ultra Clean, one of my absolute favorite cleaners. The one thing you have to be careful with, and I think it's specifically the Stays On cleaner. I think it's that one. That one is not good for photopolymer stamps, that I remember. And I don't work with Stays On. I don't even have Stays On cleaner anymore, but I find that this works better than like this works the best for removing the most stubborn of inks. It will not remove staining, you know, that is like penetrate the photopolymer, you know. If it's stained, it's stained. It's not going anywhere. We have to learn to accept it because people over the years have gotten really upset over that. And it's like, it's okay. It doesn't look pretty anymore, but it's stained, whatever. This will remove it. The thing to remember with Ultra Clean is it does have a little bit of a almost oily residue, which that's why I like using my little chamois with it, because that kind of helps absorb any excess. Because like if I need to, if my stamp is really, really gunked up, then I'll use a stamp scrubber. But with the scrubber, if I'm like using it, sometimes it'll like kind of almost splatter the cleaner. And I've literally had it splatter like onto my work surface, onto my project, and it's not fun. So that's why I like this guy. So he's already damp. I keep him in a little container off to the side. And then I just do, you know, a couple sprays. And then that's it. And it's taking off all that ink. And there is archival ink cleaner. That one I do not use. I can't remember. Is the archival the one? Let me double check. Put it. All-purpose cleaner. Water-based permanent pigment solvent. Non-toxic cleaners ever used on. Oh, this one does say it's safe. This one's safe for clear stamps. Okay, archival cleaner is safe for clear stamps. I think it was the one that's literally Stays On cleaner. Maybe that one isn't even on the market anymore. I don't know. I have not used that stuff in years, but I've always told people, I'm 99% positive, Stays On cleaner, you are not to use it on your photopolymer stamps. If you have and it's been fine, great. I just wouldn't recommend it. This one, it does say it's okay for clear, but I only use this when I have to, because this one I also don't like. I don't really like this cleaner. It does a good job. I use this on my press plates when I use like the Better Press ink on my press plates, because that stuff, again, it's like archival ink, but thicker. Like it builds up over time. So when I use Better Press ink on my Better Press plates, I will use this cleaner. And I've shown that in some of my lives and some of my videos, and I use it like with a cloth and clean it up. But I keep it for just that. For everything else, Ultra Clean. It works amazing. And it cleans off all of the ink. And with this one, honestly, you guys can't really tell because I have the backing sheet on here. But because I cleaned this so quickly, I think for the most part, I got all of it off. Did it stain? It stained a bit, you know, but not, hello Mari, but not like a ton. More often than not, you'll see more staining, not with the black soot archival, but like any of the color, like the brown archival inks. Those ones stain, like they turn my stamps yellow, like immediately. It is what it is. But, I'll stamp chamois, a little bit of Ultra Clean, and we're good to go. And now I can I'll do one more swipe because I am probably going to stamp this on the inside of the card with a light ink. That's why I want to make sure it's clean. So we'll give them another quick little swipe just to make sure. But again, archival, generally, even on this, if you left it on the stamp, once it's dry, it's permanent. And you can ink it up with your dye inks, you know, and it's not gonna like turn black. But yeah, there was still some on there. Okay. There we go. Doop doop. Ultra Clean is so hard to find. I think Simon Says Stamp has this in stock. I think I didn't check. I forgot to check if it's in stock. Sometimes stuff takes a bit to, you know, get restocked and all the things. Because, yeah. And then while I'm at it, and some of my paint, see what I talked about staining? Some of the paint got in there. It's stained. It's fine. We'll survive. Stained tools are loved tools, and they work better. You know, it is nice to be able to keep them pristine. I do, you know, when you get a brand new little tool or craft mat or whatever, and it's like, oh, it's so shiny and nice, and you don't really want it, but honestly, once it's stained, it's like, great, don't worry about it anymore. Have fun with it. Make a mess, y'all. Make a mess. Okay. Splatter. Okay. Sweet. Thank you guys for checking. The cleaners are in stock. Yay. Some stuff I try to check ahead of time, you know, and then again, doing up supply lists and sourcing things and yada, yada, yada is a full-time job in and of itself. And there have also been times, though, where it's like, oh, it's in stock. And I start my live, and then 5 minutes of live, everyone's like, it's out of stock. I'm like, great. That's awesome. Thanks. I have no control over anything, y'all. Okay. The other thing. Splatter. I haven't used these for splatter in forever because I have like 5 million products to splatter with. But way back in the day, in my infancy of splatter, in my splatter journey, it was these two. That's what I started with, you know? And then more, you know, gouache and metallic paints, you know, all the things, you know, pretty much anything can be splatter if you believe it. But for colors, I really do like all the distress paints. For these are great too. And then there's options. For black splatter, because that was something I used to always get like asked, this is one of the best. You know, this, my black gouache, Simon's Positively Perfect Black Splatter, Ultimate Black Gouache, that's what I was talking about. And then those are like my 3 go-tos for black splatter. My black gouache, Simon Says Stamp Positively Perfect Black Splatter, medium, and black soot distress paint. Because the thing with black specifically is a lot of products before, things have changed now that we have so many options, but a lot of like basic black craft paints or just like black product that you could try to use for splatter wasn't pigmented enough. And the minute you'd add water to it, it would start looking a little gray or just weird. You know, it wasn't like black. This does not need to be watered down. This is like a perfect example of what I was saying earlier about the differences in viscosity in the distress paints, just depending on color. Because this one is black. This one is like liquid. You don't need to water it down. It is liquid and it is black and it is staining. Like all craft paint can technically stain. This stuff will stain. And it is liquid. The white, it's thicker. Works great. It does. I water it down a little bit. So sometimes it won't stay like super, super white, but we just go with it. Splatter evolution. I know, right? It's been a journey and I love it. I don't know. Splatter is fun and it adds texture. So we're just going to add, got some white and then my little fan brush. And because my jar of forbidden water is now contaminated and no longer clear, I'll just add a few little drops. to that to water it down because right now it's very thick. Get my brush wet. And then we can go like that. And that's still a little too thick for my liking. And then, is that another drop of water? Yeah, that'll work. And then we just splatter, you know? Like that. Yep. So we got some white splatter. And then let me wipe that off. Let me grab this. And I'm actually going to dry this splatter. I've talked about this. If when I'm doing like more than one type of splatter, which is a lot, I either let it just sit for a bit and dry in between, or I'll speed it up with a heat tool, which is what I'm going to do today. If I can get my heat tool plugged in, because all my cords are literally tangled up now. Anyway, because I'm live and I'm impatient. And I do this because sometimes it annoys me when I do multiple colors. It's usually white, black, and metallic, but you know, multiple color splatter. And sometimes I get annoyed if the bigger blobs like start mixing. Am I being ridiculous at times? Yeah, but that's what a heat tool's for. Or patience. If I'm not live, if I'm doing other things, it's like I'll just set it aside and work on something else. Usually I'll let it dry, and while it's drying, that's when I'm like die cutting or assembling something or whatever, you know? Let's just dry that. It's not fully dry, but it's dry enough, and I'm fine with that. And then we'll do black splatter, which is the one that is the most intimidating and freaks people out. And trust me, I know. But once you get used to it, I have like a big buildup of dry paint. There we go. Once you get used to it, it's fun. But yeah, this stuff is liquid. Like liquid. And like I said, it stains everything. So, hence Splat Box. I'm wearing clothes that I've had for 10 plus years. Or an apron if the rare times I'll actually wear something decent. But, so this I don't water down because it literally does not need it. And then, yeah. It just works so well. Love so much. Because I can. So fun. Okay. Black like my soul splatter. Exactly. Exactly. There we go. Okay. And then, like I always say, and it definitely applies, just like I was saying earlier, I immediately clean out my brush because acrylic paint, once it is dry, it's permanent. And you just don't want to wreck your brushes. And this I can just wipe up. And then we're good. We're good. There's our background. And he just needs to dry. So, oh man, I got paint all over me. Whatever. So, there's our background with distress paint and a bit of stamping, and my camera's being weird again and making the spun sugar color I don't know, you guys. Again, I was playing with the settings. I was trying to just make things work better. Okay. Even with a splat box, I have to drape the outside with a cover to keep the splatters. Oh yeah, depending on what I'm doing, sometimes I lay out my flour sack cloth because, oh yeah, I've got splatter on my camera lenses, on my computer. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. I don't care. I don't care. Okay, I have some things. I die cut some black cardstock using the, now I gotta remember the name of it because my brain stopped. Scalloped Arches Frames wafer dies. I used that with black cardstock because I thought that would sit really nicely on this background. Yes. So, die cut that from black cardstock. My glue is pretty much guaranteed to be clogged because it's been sitting without its lid for a while. And this is why I keep pins in a pin cushion beside me so that I can fix that. Okay. And then I'm just going to glue these layers together with a bit of liquid glue. And then, there we go. Let's get the glue out. There we go. Just a little bit of liquid glue. And I clogged them again, did I? There we go. Get that like that. I was going to do this before I went live, apologies, but then I got distracted with computer and tech settings and all the things. This is actually Simon's black cardstock. Tim's black heavy stock is nice. That stuff I hoard. I don't use it very often because it's very nice and it is it's a little more pricey, but it is gorgeous. It has like a velvety finish to it. But yeah, this is Simon Says Stamps, so very black, and it is very black. It's really heavyweight too. Hence me only die cutting 2 layers. I think that's enough just to give a bit of dimension. Doop. Just like so. So I got a little frame. We're gonna set that there. And then I also have an oldie but goodie favorite. I die cut, this is the Divine Peony, where I don't even know what I did with the packaging. I already lost it. There it is. Nope. I lost the packaging for it. I had it. There it is. Is it right there? Yes, it is. There it is. This one, I did up my playlist and I linked it in the description box below the video because I have used this in multiple videos. I've done it a couple live streams using this die set because it's a favorite. So, and they're all like had random names. So it even took me a while to find them. Hence, I made up a playlist. So then they're easier to locate now. So I've used this many times and it's one of my favorites. And all I did was die cut just the peony because it's one big wafer die. And I just die cut the actual like bloom from white cardstock. That's my plan. And I think I'm going to add a little bit. I'm not going to like fully ink blend on this because I kind of like the idea of like the white, the stark white, but I want to add just a bit of color. So I think I'm going to add a bit of spun sugar. Yes. I'm going to add spun sugar, which I got to grab because I didn't. There we go. And I need a blending brush. That one. And then I also need, what do I want to do for the flower center? I have that around here somewhere. No, that's not the die cut I want. There's my little flower center. Do I want to add ink to the flower center? Yeah, we could add some black soot. Let's do that. Doop. Okay. Got that. And that. And that'll work. That'll work. So, really super simple. Inking. Like I said, I want to keep it just light. I don't want, see, that's because of the black. It's annoying. My camera was doing this last time. The black like throws off the white balance. Annoying. Another thing I need to fiddle with. Anyway, just a little bit of spun sugar. Yeah, see, if I go like that, you can kind of see it. I want it subtle, you know? Mm-hmm. And then, like that, and that. So it's going to be subtle. And maybe I'll add a little bit of picked raspberry too. I can't help it. I like these colors. Okay. You could keep it super subtle, but you guys know me. I can't have a light hand hardly ever. Add a bit of that. Add a bit of that. And then I'll add just a hint. Just a hint of picked raspberry. Just because I can. And this is why it's nice having everything labeled, mostly labeled. Again, still working on it. And did I label all 4 sides? Of course I did. That is what I like. Because who wouldn't like having all 4 sides labeled? Now, picked raspberry is a much more intense color. So I am going to go in with a bit lighter of a hand because I just want a little bit. Yeah, I just want a little bit. Because picked raspberry can easily overwhelm spun sugar because spun sugar is such a pale pink. And then picked raspberry is like in your face. It's one of my favorites. In fact, I think it was when Tim Holtz released picked raspberry. Because originally, like way back in the day, like the original distress colors were more, the basic colors, a little bit of grunge going on, and I was like, I don't get the appeal, And that was before I understood exactly what, distress inks were supposed to do. And then I started learning about how they worked, and I was like, oh, these are kind of cool. And that was right around the time that he started releasing like new colors. And that first batch had, I think, picked raspberry and the seedless preserves, etc. And I was like, oh, these are fun. These are my kind of colors. And yeah, when they released the minis, because back then I couldn't afford to like get the full size ink pads, and then they started coming out with the minis, and I was like, you mean I can get all these colors for cheap? And I still have them. These are the same ones that I bought a decade ago. It was more than a decade ago. I forget when the minis were first released. It was a long time ago. Okay. So yeah. I tap off onto my work surface so that there's not as much ink on my brush. And then I just start kind of in the center and just really gently swirl it out so that it's got just, that little bit of color. Like that. Okay. So that was picked raspberry and spun sugar. And then clean that up. I'll add a little bit of black soot to this flower center. Like this. And black soot. I remember black soot I did have, like, this would have been close to 20 years ago. Someone gave me, it was like 3 or 4 distressing pads. And it was, you know, the brown. There was like, I think the other 3 were the browns and then black soot. And I had no clue, didn't even know really who Tim Holtz was, didn't know anything about distressing. And I remember being so frustrated. I remember I was stamping with the black soot because I didn't know what it was. I didn't know the properties of it, anything. And back then, like, I always, like, I colored and, you know, that kind of stuff. And I remember being so frustrated with the black soot because it ran. No matter, you know, because I was stamping outline images. And I got so frustrated, so I put it in the back of a drawer and I was like, I don't understand why people like this ink, you know? And then I learned what these inks were good for and never looked back. But the thing I loved about black soot once I understood was, like, watercoloring with it. Because it stays black. Because my little forays of using, you know, dye inks and a little water brush and watercoloring, and I absolutely hated all the other black inks at the time turned purple or like blue the minute you added water to them. Black soot doesn't, because it is black. And I love it. I love it. So, always a good one to have on hand. Okay. So then, to assemble these guys, very simple. If your glue doesn't have a big old clog in it, because I know mine, there is a clog in there. I just need to get it out. Okay. So I get Anthem glue. There we go. And then you just layer them up. I did that too, so frustrated, Sammy, but yep. Yep. It's one of the many reasons why I, like, explain the properties of this product or what this is meant to do and all the things, you know, sometimes ad nauseum, but that's literally, especially way back in the day, and we didn't have hardly any videos and not as many resources, and it was difficult. And it's like there were so many products that I would use and absolutely hated because I didn't understand what it was meant for, you know, what it was formulated for, yada, yada, yada. And yeah, that being one of them, I remember thinking, I was like, this is the stupidest ink. Like, you know, why would anyone use this? And then when I learned how to use distress inks, I was like, oh, these are the best inks ever. Yeah. But that was, again, like 20 years ago. Anyway. Boop. So we got that. And then we can add our little flower center. And we got our pretty peony that now this camera, like, it's annoying when it gets like this. If I keep all the block off. But there you go. That's how it's supposed to look. If I kind of like shade it from the light. It's just got that little bit of pink, you know? So we have that. I think my paint is still wet on here. Okay, we'll let him, well, no, I'm going to blast it. Let's blast him with the heat tool. And then I'll set him aside to dry even longer. Yes. Tim's creative chemistry classes, and you can get to those at online card classes. You want to learn about distress products? Those classes are old. I signed up for those. I don't even remember how many years ago it was. And yeah, there are so many light bulb moments because, you know, Tim's teaching you how XYZ works and all the techniques and all the ideas. And yeah, like, and nowadays he does all these live streams. Like, he has so much content, and that's why I keep telling people, I was like, you want to learn about distress products? the inks, the oxides, the paints, the mica, whatever, go to Tim Holtz YouTube channel because he's got tons. And in the beginning of those videos, it doesn't, if they're 3 hours long, who cares? At least at the very beginning, he explains just the logistics, like why he wanted this product, what is meant to do, why it does what it does, why it looks the way it looks, yada, yada, yada. And then he gets into demoing it, and it's like, y'all, worth it. Worth it. So, yeah, cannot recommend it enough, especially with distress products, because so often there's, very specific, and I say specific loosely, but it's like there's a reason for why it does what it does, and like everything in crafting. Once you know that the reasoning, why it's meant to do what it does, like this ink is meant to react with water. It is formulated that way. It works great for ink blending and splattering and ink smushing techniques, and you can watercolor, Like once you understand that, you understand the basics of that product, then you can do whatever the heck you want with it. But then you also won't be frustrated when it's like, this is what it's meant to do. This is why it's formulated this way. It's water reactive. It's not permanent, yada, yada, yada. So then you won't be frustrated when it's like, why is this ink not stamping on acetate? Like it will never dry, ever. It will never dry on a non-porous surface. That is not what it is formulated for. So when you understand those things, but then you can push the limits. Understand the basics? Go from there. Like, break all the rules. You learn the rules so you can break them. That's art in a nutshell. Anyway. And yes, I cannot recommend Tim Holtz videos enough. That man has a brain that fascinates me because he looks at things in a way that I could never imagine. And yeah, I'm going to catch up. I missed big chunks of yesterday's live, and I will be watching the replay to catch up on all of it. Yeah, okay. I'm going to let this sit still because he doesn't look like he's fully dry because some of those bigger splotchies. So then what we can do is we can take this, and I have my card base, trying not to get a big old mess. Like that. Okay. And then we have my card base is a top folding A2 white card, 4 1/4, 5 1/2. This is the inside. Just some post-it tape right at the score line so I don't stamp past the score line. And then to keep things matchy-matchy, I'll use tumbled glass distress ink. So I should have grabbed that one too. There we go. And then just gonna ink them up like this. And again, it doesn't need to be perfect, especially when I'm stamping on the insides of the cards. I don't worry about it being, if I wanted it to be like perfect, like perfection, always overrated. It also helps to make sure, because it is a text stamp, that it's right side up, so it's not upside down. Again, perfection's overrated, but if there is like somewhat legible text, it does help to not have it upside down. Follow me for more life-changing tips. Anyway, okay. But yeah, he doesn't need to be stamped perfectly because this is just extra. So I'm just not worried about it. But if I wanted it to stamp, evenly and yada yada, then I would use my MISTI or my stamp wheel and just make sure, because then that way I can also re-stamp it if I was bothered. But I'm not. Lovely. Okay. Carol Duvall. Yeah, see, Carol Duvall, I never really saw anything by her. One, I grew up in a very ridiculously sheltered life and didn't have access to television. I probably would have loved her stuff. I've heard nothing but amazing things, and Tim always spoke very highly of her. And yeah, that comment, she had a hard life. I vaguely remember hearing how hard it was for her as a female in her career. Heard that. Heard that. Because, yeah. Patriarchy is still patriarching, and chauvinism is still chauvinisming. Like, even in spaces that are mainly run by women, owned by women, trailblazed by women, the patriarchy still likes to do its thing. But anyway. Okay. Cleaned off my stamp. And that I just use a baby wipe because when it's just distress inks or, you know, just the basic dye-based inks that are water reactive, wipe them off, they're good to go. I don't bother with a cleaner because I just don't need it. You just don't need it. So that's the inside. And then, fold my card. It is. Side note, I talked about this last week too, briefly, like with the whole, like the Artemis 2 launch. Y'all, loved seeing women in space and the amount of women that were behind the scenes, you know, doing all their math and science and amazing things. Here for it. It was so much fun. Oh. Like, yeah. Who'd have thunk, y'all? Who'd have thunk? Women are just like super smart and accomplished, and yeah. Anyway. Okay. I think, is that still wet? Oh no, it's not. We're good. Okay. Yeah, we're good. Now we can trim this guy down a little bit. I want to take off like just a bit so that the card base will frame. Oh, see, no, it wasn't fully dry. Yep. You know what we can do? Let me just grab a tissue. This is what also works. Sometimes when I've got the bigger blobbies and they're just being stubborn, is like taking a tissue or a piece of paper towel. Yeah, the room full of women scientists. Yeah, I saw the photo of that and I was just like, ugh. Here for it. Here for it. Because, yeah. It's amazing. And nowadays it's nice to see more and more women actually getting credit for their accomplishments. Instead of us finding out about it, you know, decades after the fact. Or someone else taking credit for it. Because that's another pet peeve, which the unpaid intern has heard me rant about many a time. Rightfully so. Because it makes me really angry. Okay. So, it's dry enough. It's dry enough. We'll just kind of be a little careful. There we go. So, we'll take off. There. So, I'm going to trim it down to like 4 by 5 1/4. Like that. Yep. Some of it's being a little bit finicky. Because especially when me and my heavy hands applying splatter thick, it just takes longer to dry. So let's get that. There we go. Like that. And then while I'm here, take that off again and just give that a quick little. Where did that tissue go that I just used? There it is. Get that off my little my broken little plastic guard because I've broken this thing, but this still works. I do have a backup of this cutter because I use it and have been using it for I don't even know how many years now. But he still works. So that's all good. So with that, and then we have this. And then my plan was to have it like kind of like that. And then I need a sentiment. And for my sentiment, there's dragonflies, of course, we'll add. But for my sentiment, I was like, do I want white or do I want black? I think I want to do black cardstock for the sentiment. Yeah, let's do that. So for my sentiments, I pulled out this came out a while ago. It's been out for, I've used it in many videos. The little small thanks from CZ Design. And then there's a coordinating little die set for it. And I want to use that one. Yeah, I want to use that one. Thanks. Do you want to use this one for your kindness? Yeah, let's do that. Thanks for your kindness. So let's do them just black and white. Let's keep life simple. Let's keep life a little simple and not overthink it. Ha. The washi tape on my trimmer. I get asked that all the time. It's to mark because with this trimmer, the little markings only go up to 6 inches. So I put a piece of washi tape. So then that's 6 inches, 6 1/4, and then I took a ruler with a little Sharpie, which is almost fully worn off, but there's a little faint black line that's 6 1/2 inches. That's what it's there for. Because sometimes I need to cut to that, especially when I was doing a lot of I think it was like mini slimline cards. Because I think those ones are 6 or 6 1/4. I forget the exact measurements for a mini slimline card. It's been forever since I've made one. But yeah. There we go. Gonna use that. And then because again, I keep all the leftovers. When I die cut the frames, I keep the insides and I toss them in with my scraps because I use every single scrap always. And especially my black and white cardstock, I never have like a backlog of scraps because I use them so much to the point where quite often I have to cut into a full piece of cardstock. But yeah, with all my color scraps, I always reach for a scrap before I grab a full sheet of cardstock because I almost always have scraps. So I'm gonna do that. And then I'm just gonna line these guys up like that. And then we need some anti-static powder. And again, the black throws off my white balance. It didn't used to be this annoying. I don't know what changed. I don't often play with the settings of my tech because try not to make direct eye contact with tech. Things like to go wonky. But anyway, anti-static powder for the cardstock, and that helps keep the embossing powder from clinging where it doesn't belong. And then white embossing powder. What are you? I keep hearing you giggling, and I was like, did I say something funny?
Sometimes you do.
Sometimes I do. Anyway. Oh my goodness. I finally have my cardstock scraps organized. Thanks, Kathy. Yep, same. Kathy Zielski has a free little download on her website. And let me unplug my other heat tool. And you can download it and then just print it off onto like white cardstock. That's what I did. And it's just little like panels and the like white, black color, whatever. And I showed that in, I think it was like a post on my social media. I don't remember. Kathy's shown it many times, and yeah, it's on her website. And yeah, I printed those off onto cardstock, and then I laminated them, and then I just have a little bin, and I just kind of throw my scraps in there. Okay, ink that up with clear embossing ink, and then white embossing powder. There we go. And then some of my bigger scraps, like if I've cut down like half a sheet of cardstock, that sort of thing, those I just keep with the full packs of cardstock, like the big stuff. But anything smaller, I put in, I throw it in a little bin, and then I just flip through it when it's like, oh, I need an orange piece or a pink piece or whatever. And it does the trick. Okay. So, melt this with my heat tool. Making sure everything is melted. There we go. When you're melting your embossing powder, the minute it's melted and goes like smooth, move away your heat tool. Shown that in videos, talked about that as well. When you overheat your embossing powder and like you melt it, it liquefies and it'll start soaking in. So it will, if you find that your embossing looks like super patchy and weird, and it's like, you know, you had poured it over and it, you know, you poured it over, you had good coverage, but then you've melted it and it looks all like weird and patchy and blotchy. It's like, don't overheat it. Because when you overheat it, it liquefies and soaks in, like literally sinks into the cardstock. And then it's just, so, yeah. Yeah. Okay, we'll die cut that in a second. While I have this out, I want to stamp a sentiment on the inside of my card. Because even though I stamped that background on the inside, everything is like, my lighting is being off again. I'm so annoyed. I'm so annoyed. Okay. I'm going to stamp a sentiment from this set that I pulled out. This one was part of the most recent release. I've used it a couple times, so I can't remember if I used it in the live or not, but it's the CZ Design Bereavement thank yous. It's got some nice sentiments, and it was like a very requested set, but I've been using it for just like basic thank yous. A couple of them need to be more, you know, whatever, but I really like this one. So very grateful for your love and support. And I was like, that's a good sentiment. So that's what I'm going to use. So this one, yes. So this one we're going to stamp with the Nocturning, because that's just my preferred ink for sentiments and everything else. There we go. Lovely. And then this one, I'll use my little stamp chamois. If you clean this immediately, like right after stamping, you don't even need a cleaner. It'll clean off quick. But if you let it sit for a few minutes, it will come off, but you'll need like a cleaner, like the Ultra Clean or like Bruce Monroe Squeaky Clean. Cause yeah, but if you clean it fast, it just wipes right off. So we got that. So that'll be our inside. And I've lost all the space and my mind. And I need the wafer die. for this guy, which will be this one, I think. Yes. And then for that guy, I'll just use a little sentiment label. I didn't link to these, but I can add it after. Use that. So, my trusty little washi tape. Just to hold the dies in place so that it doesn't shift when I'm running it through my die cut machine. Better to be safe than sorry. Love how you always finish the inside of your cards. Thank you. I can't not finish the inside of my cards. I've been doing it for so many years that a card does not feel finished until the inside is also done. Line that one up. Tape him into place. Just like so. And then run this through my die cut machine. Altenew cleaner is fantastic. I'll have to try it. I don't have... Does Altenew have a stamp cleaner? I'm sure they do. I don't have it. I'll have to get some. Again, do I need more stamp cleaner? No, but like everything, I'm always like, oh, something I haven't tried yet. Now I want to. Okay, so we got those. I'll die cut the scraps to build a bit of dimension, as is tradition. Peel that off. And then this one. And this one. Okay. So, like I said, use all the scraps. Okay. Let's run that through. One, two, and then one more. There will be a method to the madness, although usually just rule of thumb is I like to have like my sentiments stacked like 3 times on average, but let's do that. We won't need that one. We just need that. There we go. Okay. So we have our die cut sentiments. And then, do you not want to lose that little wafer die? Stick him back in his packaging. Move all my little mess going on. Okay. So we've got our background, which I'm going to adhere to the card with liquid glue. There we go. I thought about popping this up with some Big Mama foam tape, but decided against it. Always make sure that I'm adhering to the front of my card and that it's not upside down and backwards. Because you make that mistake once and have to rip a card apart to fix it. Not fun. My card base, I think I cut a little wonky, so I'm going to like shave a tiny bit off the side in a second. I'm just making sure that I'm not like getting a spot everywhere. Yeah, I cut my card base wonky. Good job, Amy. But that's okay. I can fix it. So we'll just line her up. And we're good. Much better. Yeah. That's another reason why I love that guillotine cutter because I can shave off like literal slivers of cardstock. Okay, so with that, we have this nice little frame and our little flower. Oh yeah. Well, and sometimes like I say I cut my cardstock wonky. Honestly, at times, like the cardstock itself sometimes isn't perfectly straight. Because cardstock is created on massive, utterly enormous machines. And like when it comes off the machine, it's huge, it's massive, and then they use these big industrial cutters, and then those cutters, when you're cutting large, like they'll cut like large stacks at a time, and it's an industrial guillotine machine. It's amazing, and you know they keep it all straight to a degree, but when you're cutting really heavyweight cardstock, it's like the top can start fine, but sometimes the bottom pieces end up can be just slightly off. And for the most part, with our good quality cardstock, it's not generally super obvious. But again, I've been doing this for 20 years. I have seen some of the most bizarre cuts on cardstock, and it's just like, why is nothing straight? Yeah, it's because the cardstock is crooked. It'll just be slightly off. Anyway. So there's our frame, and we have our little flower, and then our sentiments, and then where did I put it? I have a mess, y'all. Oh, okay. I pulled out, of course, can't go wrong with some little dragonflies, but considering I threw the whole tray, oh my goodness, I made a mess. Okay. Is that all the pieces? Yes, it is. I've gotten all the pieces. I die cut the Flourish Dragonfly Duo. Love that there was 2 sizes. I would have been happier if there had been 3, but, you know, I'm okay with 2. So I die cut the wings from Simon's Vellum. Focus camera. There you go. Love it. So I die cut the wings from Simon's Vellum. And then the bodies from scraps of the same black cardstock. There you go. So they will be our little accessories for this card. So all we got to do is put those together, add a little dollop of glue, maybe keep everything away from my glue press, and then you can hear the seagulls out there.
Oh yeah,
that's so funny.
Very much out and about.
They're noisy little creatures. I guess it's only a matter of time before that crow comes back.
He's my friend.
He likes to sit, pretty sure it's on that light post.
Yeah, right outside.
Because, yeah, there are times where he is so loud, he drives me insane. Okay. So I added that little bit of glue, and then using my reverse tweezers to pinch it and hold it while I go on to the next one. And then we do the same thing with these ones. You just add I grew up on the coast. There's seagulls. You live in North Dakota now. Named us. I know. The concept of seagulls when you live in Saskatchewan is kind of funny when you think about it. But yeah, we have a lot of them around here.
There is a ton of fresh water in Saskatchewan.
Yeah, we have a lot of fresh water. And we also have a lot of fast food establishments because that's where a lot of them like to hang out.
Yeah.
Is
KFC parking lot?
Yeah, KFC parking lots. The unpaid intern is awful. Like, He loves to toss, you know, a French fry at the seagulls. And I keep warning him, it is only a matter of time before they figure out, like, where he lives, you know? Because we were on a road trip years ago. And we were in a literal like KFC parking lot, and he was like tossing out French fries. And then they, you know, the word started getting around, and like more and more started gathering, and they were literally like, it's like, dude, stop it.
There's dozens by the third French fry.
Oh, it was, and I was like, oh, they're gonna like kidnap us or something. These crazy birds. So yeah, fun times. Doop doop doop. There we go. Okay.
I get a kick of those.
I call them garbage gulls. Yeah, that's basically, we have a large garbage dump. What, maybe a couple miles from here? Something, and oh yeah, there's clouds of the birds. It's crazy. It's crazy. Okay. This is why it's always nice to have extra reverse tweezers. One, you need at least 2 pairs, because if you only have 1 pair, and I speak from experience, if you only have 1 pair, they grow legs and they walk away. I could never find my reverse tweezers when I only had 1 pair, and I now have like more than I thought I did. I have about 5 pairs now on average, but a few months ago, I was digging through I keep a drawer, like it's almost like a junk drawer, and it's just, you know, random crafting tools that I haven't used, but I refuse to get rid of because you never know. You know, like my crocodile. Things like that is like I will literally never get rid of because they come in handy once in a blue moon. And I was digging through it the other day, and I found like 4 more pairs. So I think a couple of them crawled off into the junk drawer and like started, you know, propagating like rabbits because, yeah. I have a ridiculous amount of reverse tweezers now. No idea where they came from, but I'm not complaining because I like them. And they come in handy. Because now we've got love. Bald eagles also love garbage gnomes. See, I've never seen eagles in this province. I haven't seen them. My kids last year were going on about like seeing eagles, and I was like, that's not what you saw. That was just a hawk. Like, no. Oh yeah, no. We have eagles in this province. I didn't even know that. And my kids have seen them like a lot. Kind of jealous. I was like, I've never seen eagles here. That's crazy. So yeah. But maybe if I actually left my house. Mm-hmm. You know? Maybe if I didn't work 7 days a week and I'm like in this garage 24/7, maybe I would see things. Who'd have thunk? Novel concept. Okay. How do I want to do? I kind of want to go like that, because then we could do thanks for your kindness. Like that, I think, is my plan. And then this guy's going to go on the inside. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Tweezers are linked in my supplies. Several brands make reverse tweezers. These ones are Simon Says Stamps. And I have some from other brands as well. They all work great. And then a couple of brands also make just regular tweezers that aren't the reverse. I like the reverse a lot. And then I use the regular tweezers, like Altenews got a pair. And Spellbinders recently released a pair of like regular tweezers. And those I like for like dealing with little fiddly die cuts. Reverse tweezers take, if you've never used them, do take a little bit getting used to because they are reverse. So when you squeeze them, they open. Whereas normal tweezers, you know, you squeeze, you're pinching the tweezers. So reverse tweezers are literally reverse. But that's the beauty of it, because then I can glue things, you know, whether it's little things like this or even larger panels, and then pinch them with the reverse tweezers, and that's why I love them. It's like an extra pair of hands, because then I can just set it aside, do something else, not have to sit and hold little things while glue dries. So, handy. Love them. Okay. Doot, doot, doot. And then I really relayed that theory to my husband when he was complaining about not being able to find a tool. I said it needed a friend. Truth. It's true. They wander off. And then when you've got multiples, like I purchased a box cutter at some point last year, which I did manage to nearly cut my thumb off with a thing. So that was great. And it's gone. We haven't seen it in months. So learned my lesson. I should have purchased a second one so that they had, they were their friends, and then I never would have lost that. So I'm gonna have to get another one because I'm really annoyed about that because the box cutter with all the boxes I cut down to recycle and stuff. So annoyed. Just got to be careful with it because they're super sharp, and I am a very clumsy human being. Okay, so this guy I'm gonna do like so. Yeah. We're gonna just, you know what? We'll just put blobs of glue like this. Like that. That'll work. Because that'll go like that. And then, Okay, so we got that. And then for the sentiments. Oh, and this guy's going to go on the inside. We can just adhere him because then the glue can sit and dry. Oops. Let's do that. And then we'll go like that on the inside. I just keep a pocket knife on me at all times. Comes in handy. See, I can't do a pocket knife. It'd be different if it could be a... What do you call the ones where you just press the little...
Like the little button and the knife comes out?
Yeah. That's the kind I need, but those are illegal here. But the kind, like an actual pocket knife where you have to like unfold it. Y'all, I would hurt myself. Though I am too clumsy. Like at least something like a box cutter, you can just, and it comes up and down. That's how it needs to be. I have to be very aware. I am a clumsy individual. It's not good. But yeah. Okay. So we got Dragonflies adhered. Sentiments. The extra pieces I'm going to adhere together. And then once these layers, what I'm going to do is I want my sentiment like, or do I want to put it up here? No, I liked it down here. I prefer it down here. So because the sentiment is going to like go over this frame, I can just take this, cut off this part like that, and then the sentiment will sit flush. And with one like this, not as big of a deal. Like this is wide enough that I could put little foam squares easily behind it. But this really comes in handy with the more finicky, more delicate, detailed sentiments, That's where it's really nice to have the coordinating dies. And then I can just die cut extra layers and do exactly like I'm doing. But it also comes in handy for this. Because this little bit, in fact, I'm going to cut that little piece off because it's annoying me. There we go. And then this will make it flush. And it won't be weird. It's going to fit nice. And I can use the last little bit on that end too. Like so. There we go. And then we just pop that piece onto the back like that. There we go. And I really managed to like layer my, you guys can't really see it because my camera and black cardstock, but I layered those 2 layers together crooked. Goodness. Good job, Amy. There we go. Okay. Okay. Is it a switchblade? Is that what it's called? The switchblade? The one where you press the little, and the blade comes out. I would like to own one of those. But very illegal here. Very illegal. So, yeah, you can't even get one of those things without, breaking some laws. So anyway, regular little like pocket knives. They're fine. They're great. I will hurt myself. It's just a given. So, yeah. Because, yeah, the box cutter. Oh, y'all. Like, I was cutting apart a box, not paying attention, and, like, nearly cut the end of my finger off. And that one took a long time to heal, too. Oy. And it wasn't long after that the box cutter grew legs and walked away. And I'm going to find it in the stupidest place. Okay, so we did that. And then I'm going to do basically the same thing. I'm going to cut these ends off. Like that. And then, yeah, and then I'll stack a couple little pieces. I can even use the piece. Yeah, I can use the piece that I cut off. Oh no. Yeah, you guys, I'm clumsy. And I talk about the proper ways to use our tools and I'm very aware of my hands. When I'm working, like when I'm sitting at this desk, I'm very aware of my hands. And using scissors and sharp objects and heat tools and all these things. And I'm just like, don't do this. You don't want to hurt yourself. The minute I'm away from this desk and the cameras, I am the clumsiest. Just like I broke my fingernail this morning opening a door. Because my brain, I was opening the door to our closet. And for whatever reason, instead of opening it like a normal human being, like just, there's a door handle. I went like this. Like just straight into the door with my hand and like broke my fingernail right off. I think maybe I use all my brain power here and then it just doesn't exist for anything else in my life. I don't know, y'all. I was like, seriously? My nails were looking so good too, and now they're all like uneven. Whatever. I haven't painted my nails. People have asked me about that. I haven't painted my nails in a year and a half, 2 years. I'd like to get back into it because I have many pretty polishes, and I like keeping my nails pretty, but I haven't had time. Okay. So there we go. And then, so I got my I stacked those up in the exact same like concept. It's just to even things out so that you don't have a saggy sentiment. There we go. And then I can do the same thing there on the very end. So I can actually just take this little piece. Yeah, this little piece, cut them in half. So we got little bits. And I can just adhere them to the back. And then that way, when this card goes in the mail at some point, it will not, be saggy. And the other thing I do, I get asked this one and I've talked about it, like when I mail my cards, and I do this regardless, but like I do it regardless of what kind of card I'm mailing out. But when I mail my cards, I have panels of cheap cardstock, the crap you ordered thinking that you were going to get a deal, and it's like, oh, I'm getting some good cardstock, and then you get it and it's absolute garbage. I have piles of that stuff, and I don't like it. I don't like stamping on it. I don't like inking it. Like it's crap cardstock. That stuff I cut down And I have panels, so when I put this in an envelope, I put a panel of cardstock on top and just stick it in the envelope. And that helps kind of even everything out, and it also protects the card front. But it also really helps because especially when I've got like embellishments and bumps and things, because the postal services don't like those, rightfully so, because they can get caught in the sorting machines. Okay. So I've got my sentiment. Lovely. And it just fits. So while I'm doing this, I haven't decided yet whether I'm going to add any bling of sorts. But while I'm doing this, the unpaid intern can pick a winner.
All right.
So we're going to adhere this into place. Doop, 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 doop. Okay. And then adhere that like so. Perfection. Oh, and I'm going to add stickles too, because I was like, I think this needs a little bit of extra bling. In fact, maybe it'll be the stickles that we'll just do and leave it at that. Or will it be? No. Got those. Do I want to add? No, I'm going to leave it for now. All those bits. Let's just add some sparkly bits. So I got some Stardust stickles, and I'm going to add them to the bodies because that'll just give them a little bit of shine and a little bit of glitter so they stand out against the rest of like the black frame and the sentiment. So just a teeny bit to those. Like that. And stickles, if you apply it thin, it'll dry fairly quickly. Like for me, it dries in about 15, 20 minutes. But it depends on your climate and it depends on how much you add. But if you apply it thin, it'll dry quite quickly. But if you do like glop it on, which you totally can. But if you do that, just set it aside and let it dry overnight because it can take, yeah, if it's really thick, it takes a while to fully dry. But I generally like to apply it thin anyway. And things like this, like I'm barely squeezing the bottle and I just kind of like tap, tap, tap. Just to add that extra shimmer. And stickles will affect water reactive inks. Again, if you apply it thin, it'll dry faster, less chance of it doing that. But it depends on the ink, it depends on the color, it depends on how long the ink has had to dry. There's a lot of little variables that can affect it. But I like adding it because it just, you can't go wrong with glitter. I love glitter. Give me all the glitter shiny goodness. And I'll add just a little bit to the flower center while I'm at it. Because I can. And that, my friends, is our finished card. And then, let me like push stuff out of the way. There we go. And it's still a bit washed out because again, my camera's being annoying. There you go. If I tilt it a bit, you can kind of see the color better. And then this will dry, so it won't be like quite so glossy. But yeah, just a super, super simple background with distress paints. Just, and then stamping that text stamp with archival, some splatter with distress paint, some die cuts, very soft. I have to tilt it. It's like, there you go. Very soft ink blending with that spun sugar and picked raspberry. And then a little stickles, a little bit of heat embossing. And then the inside, we've got that text. And a little dragonfly with those little vellum wings, which you cannot go wrong. You can't go wrong with vellum wings. Love. So we got that. And then we've got that. And who will I be mailing this to when I actually mail things out?
The winner is Shari in California.
Shari in California. This will get added to the pile. They will get mailed out in the nearish future. I'm trying not to tempt fate as well, because anytime I try and I'm just like, oh, I'll be like leaving my house this week, and you know, and then something happens. So hopefully things will get mailed out soon. But they're all set aside. I have not forgotten. So the ones that have been waiting several months, they will be arriving. We're getting there. We're getting there. And then, yeah, I'll be doing the little photos and social medias and all the things like I always do. And yeah, like I was saying earlier, I have a link to the Simon Says Stamps sale category. And I don't know how long. Oh, we'll let the unpaid intern do his disembodied hand wave. You're a dork.
Gotta do a queenly wave.
Oh, yes. You're so royal. So regal.
So regal.
Anyway.
Born of the purple.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah. I have a link to that sale page. Worth checking out. There were some really good deals. Especially on like some Tim Holtz stuff. And those are usually because they're kind of tied to when Tim was live yesterday. So, I have no idea. It's while supplies last. Sometimes it's only for a day or two, that sort of a thing. And then... yeah, so I did that. I don't really have any other housekeeping at the moment that I can think of. I will have a lot more videos this week. This past week, I was doing a lot of stuff behind the scenes. I've been still trying to catch up from last month and being so sick. Y'all, it's like I said, I am a one-woman show. The unpaid intern does a lot more behind the scenes. He helps during my Sunday lives, and that's about it, because everything else is all me. It's all me. I don't even know what he said. I think it was like born of the color. Who knows? But yeah, once he does his wave, he's gone. He's long gone. He's out of here. He's done his part. Now he's moving on to, the next things that need to be dealt with, which in our case, we've got laundry and bathrooms to clean and, all of it. It never ends. It never ends. But I will get all the photos and the social medias, and then just stay tuned because I have, regular videos, probably maybe some more real-time videos. I still plan on doing some bonus live streams. I got to figure out some... a chunk of time I can set aside to do them because I do like doing the lives. It's fun talking to you guys. So, hoping to do at least one bonus live. But if not, I'll be live again, of course, next Sunday, 2 p.m. Central, as always. And yeah, thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. I appreciate it. I appreciate the engagement and the comments and the thumbs upping, all of it. It helps. It does help. So, yeah, all the things. But that's it for me. I am going to go get more work done, and I will talk to you all later. Bye. Thank you so much to my amazing Patreon supporters. For anyone that might be interested in joining my Patreon community and supporting me, the link to my Patreon is in the description box below the video. For everyone else, as always, thank you all so much for taking the time to watch my videos, for thumbs upping, commenting, subscribe if you haven't, I'd love to have you. And here's a couple other videos for you to check out in case you missed them. Bye!